Another big story this week, friend of the show, Nick Sirianni, taking some shots at the New York Giants and their fans with Saquon Barkley. I'm sure you handled that one pretty well.
I just found what he said to be really ridiculous. Like he said, he talks to Giants fans sometimes when he's walking about the streets. Giants fans heckle him, which is hilarious. Shout out to Giants fans. Keep doing that because Nick Sirianni, he stinks. The Eagles stink, all that. But he said that when he responds to the Giants fans who heckle him, he just mocks them and says, "We got your best player." And I think that that's opened up a wide portion of conversation in this Giants fan base about, was Saquon Barkley really the Giants' best player? And I think that the answer is adamantly no. I mean, Dexter Lawrence, Andrew Thomas, those two players were better than Saquon Barkley last season. I'd even go as far as to say as Xavier McKinney was better than Saquon Barkley last season. So he wasn't even the best player, wasn't even the third best player. Saquon Barkley, best of luck to him with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm hoping that it doesn't go as planned for him and that the Eagles have a losing season. But Nick Sirianni taking shots at the Giants, I feel like he is just such a punk and he's doing it all the time, not only just at the Giants, at the Chiefs as well. We all remember that when he was yelling at the Chiefs fans in the tunnel. And then lo and behold, the Eagles didn't really make that deep playoff run. Look who became the Super Bowl champs once again. So I just don't like Nick Sirianni. I think that he is a punk. He annoys me. And I think that he needs to fact check his statements.
Yeah, totally fair. Nick Sirianni definitely plays the villain well as a head coach. I would even call him insufferable. I can't stand anytime his face is shown on the screen. It just bothers me. I'm not even a Giants fan, but just in general as an NFL fan, I find him very, very annoying. But at first, when I heard the comments, I laughed, especially at your tweet. We were like, I didn't know Dexter Lawrence was there, paraphrasing, but you made a point to bring up Dexter Lawrence and him still being with the Giants, which is obviously true. He's by far their best player. And then I was thinking, I was like, well, is it their best offensive player, Saquon Barkley? And I'm like, well, also no, because Andrew Thomas is there. The clapback doesn't hit the same if you're like, we got your fifth best player. You know, it doesn't hit as good as we got your best player in free agency.
Yeah, what they essentially got is our most popular player. That's totally true. Saquon Barkley probably sold the most jerseys of anybody on the Giants last year. He was a former number 2 overall pick back in 2018, but that was all the way back in 2018. That was 6 years ago now. Saquon Barkley, sure, maybe the most popular, definitely the most overrated Giants player, because there are probably people that thought that Saquon Barkley was the best player on this team last year. Not true. Got to watch the game a little bit closer than that. Saquon Barkley, just at this point in his career, is not what he was expected to be when he was drafted in 2018, and he's not what he was in 2018. He was an absolute dominant force and a supreme talent, but we're talking ACL tears and ankle injuries later, many of them. He's just not what he used to be. And so that's probably going to come back to bite the Eagles, who paid him out this 3 year, 12 million plus per season deal. I think that's going to be one that they ultimately regret. And at the end of the day, with Saquon Barkley, the Giants lost, sure, their star running back and the superstar player that defense is key in on. But then they brought in Malik Neighbors, who's now going to do that for you in the passing game, which is just indisputably more valuable to have your superstar as a receiver versus as a running back. And then they brought in Devin Singletary, and their backfield looks fine to me. I think I've seen a lot of debate lately about Giants having one of the worst backfields in the NFL. Singletary is a good rusher. Tyrone Tracy Jr., this rookie that they drafted out of Purdue, he's a good receiving running back. And then they have Eric Gray, who they drafted last year, who was really good at Oklahoma. There is some talent in this backfield. It's not like they just don't have anyone capable of running the football. They're just building with a low cost, high efficiency backfield now and a committee. And I think that's the way to go because Saquon Barkley joining that Eagles team, I hope that I am right about this and that this doesn't come back to bite me. I don't think that makes them a Super Bowl contender. I don't think that having a running back who could potentially go for 1,000 rushing yards, which he didn't even do last year, makes the Eagles a Super Bowl contender. I think DeAndre Swift was a better player last year. So looking at all those factors, losing Saquon Barkley, it's almost like addition by subtraction. They lose Saquon Barkley, but they get cheaper in their backfield and they get more talented in their receiving core. I think that in the long run, this is going to be something that benefits the Giants and ultimately holds back the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at a Singletary, he was in that next draft class 2019, a year after Saquon Barkley, but he also has a lot less tread on his tires too, which is something that we talk about. And if the Giants' offensive line is improved, I think that really matters more than them having that big name running back. They could do the running back by committee. I like that they, put an emphasis on wide receiver and bring in Malik Neighbors, and you still have, Slayton and Hyatt, who we'll get into later in the show, and Wan'Dale Robinson and all these guys to build out a well-rounded group. I guess my question for you is Nick Sirianni a casual if he's out here calling Saquon Barkley the Giants' best player? Because I would say casual and you don't know ball to Nick Sirianni. Those two very popular Twitter quotes I would throw at our guy here.
I would throw those both at him as well. I think you're 100% right. He's casual. He doesn't know ball. And ultimately, that's why the Eagles did not make the deep playoff run that was expected of them. And honestly, Nick Sirianni, he can keep playing the villain role, as you said, and he can keep acting this way. If he doesn't get past that hump here with the Eagles, I mean, his seat is already hot, I think. From everything that we read this offseason, it sounds like Howie Roseman and the Eagles ownership and management, they're having second thoughts about Nick Sirianni. And I have to imagine that his personality is one of the reasons why they're having second thoughts. So he can keep playing the villain role, but if you're not a super villain that actually wins football games, what are you? You're just an annoying guy that talks out of his ass in the media. So Nick Sirianni, if he doesn't deliver this year, if Saquon Barkley doesn't somehow put up 1,200 yards rushing and bring them deep into the postseason, I don't think that Sirianni's ball knowledge is going to be in question any longer. I think we're just going to know that he doesn't know ball and he's going to be coaching elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean they were pretty quick to move on from Doug Peterson, who won them a Super Bowl. It was like their first down year or bad year with Doug Peterson, and they moved on. And granted, 2020 was awful, and Carson Wentz like significantly regressed that season. So I get it, wanting to hit the reset button, but the point of like they've moved on from a lot better of coaches and ones who actually won a Super Bowl relatively quick after 5 seasons. I don't think they would hesitate to move on from a coach after 4 years with, especially like you said, he rubs people the wrong way. So I feel like even Eagles fans down the stretch last year were kind of out on Sirianni. So I don't know. He might need to humble up a little bit here.
I think so too. I'm hoping that the Giants are the team that humbles him. It'll be an interesting matchup. I believe it's week 10, Giants versus Eagles. Saquon Barkley finally comes home to MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. That's one that I think Giants fans are going to circle on their calendar and look forward to. And, if it goes according to plan, the Giants will do some humbling that day, and Nick Sirianni won't have as much to chat about.